Today I'm going to rank 10 World Wrestling Championship belts in a tier list. So I have 10 selected World Championship belts here, and they are World Championships. So no Intercontinental belts and no Women's belts. I'm going to do the Women's belts separately, as long as this video does okay. So if you can smash like, that'll be fantastic. Now, I'm quite curious, which one out of these 10 is your favorite? Let me know down in the comments section. So let's start off with a controversial one. We have the Universal Championship. So I'm going to stick it right in there in the C while we talk about it. So it's not really a World Championship, but you get the drift. It's on the same level as the WWE World Championship. My biggest problem with that belt is the branding. I think everybody discusses it. It's too much. The W in the middle, it's too much. It's too in your face. It's not subtle enough compared to some of the other belts on this list. I feel like it takes away from the lineage of the championship belt itself. I know the Universal Championship is basically what the World Heavyweight Championship would have been in the WCW era, but if you're thinking about previous WWE World Championships, I don't look at that belt or the other one and go, oh, Hulk Hogan or Stone Cold or The Rock, and think about my childhood. Not even John Cena or Randy Orton, although even though both of them have wore it. I look at that and I just remind myself of all of the bad booking that's happened recently and how WWE are trying to ram branding down my throat so much, where we can't even call it wrestling anymore. Everybody's got to have a stupid name instead of an actual wrestling name. I'm looking at you, Butch. And that's the kind of thing that I'm basing this around. I'm not looking at the lineage or the heritage or whoever's held it like that. I'm looking at the visuals, cosmetic things majority of the time, because obviously some practical side of things as well, I guess. But looking at that belt, where would I rate it in the grand scheme of if I was a wrestler wanting to win a belt? Is it the A or is it the E? Other than the actual W in the middle, it could be a nice belt. Like the side plates look fantastic. There's a lot of detail there. There's a lot of diamantes around the edges and everything. The frame and shape of it is fantastic. They kind of need to fill the bits in behind or in around the W and it would look better, but make the W a lot smaller. And the fact that it's blue and not black, I mean, white's okay as a strap, but it's not black. I'm gonna have to stick it in the E tier. To me, it's one of the worst out there. Right, we have the ROH belt next. First things first, I think it looks quite a good looking belt. It's a beautiful belt. The shape of it is very unique, but I still think it's practical. It's fantastic in its shape form. If you were to hold it or wear it on your waist or hold it on your shoulder, it looks important. And the branding is big enough so that I can notice it and go, oh, that's the Ring of Honor belt, but it's not rammed down my face. And WWE need to take note of belts like this. You might even say, I don't know which one came out first, I'm pretty sure it was the ROH belt, that it might have influenced how the AEW belt looks. Given the fact that obviously quite a lot of the AEW roster wrestled in Ring of Honor, so they know exactly what that belt looks like. And I know it has changed in the past from its previous iterations of that belt. You know, CM Punk wasn't walking around with that belt exactly, but I still look at that and I remember Ring of Honor in its prime. And I remember the likes of Adam Cole wearing that, for instance. And all the way back to Samoa Joe, it might not have been the same belt, but for me, looking at that belt, it still looks important and it still reminds me of the best of Ring of Honor. It's gold, it's beautiful. It's not my favorite on this list. It's gonna go in the B tier for now. I like that belt quite a lot. Now, the Progress Belt. This interesting fact about the Progress Belt, that it wasn't actually a belt to begin with. If you were the Progress World Champion, you used to hold a staff. So whoever's bright idea was that, yeah, they should have been sacked. Thankfully, they seen the error of their ways and they went and got themselves a belt. The tag team actually used to have like a joint shield, which, yes, a nice idea. They needed belts. And when they decided to go for a belt, they picked a fantastic design. There's a lot of gold in it. The branding's just enough. And the fact that they've used like a blackout logo of the Progress Eagle, I think it works out quite well, to be fair. Or the Progress Bird. I'm not even sure what it is. But the fact that it's black on a black strap with that bright gold belt. And I've seen this belt in person quite a few times, obviously, when Walter was holding it. And I used to go watch Progress shows. And it is absolutely gorgeous to look at. Wrestlers who hold the belt look important. I think it transformed Cara Noir when he held it. And now that Jonathan Gresham holds that and the Ring of Honor belt, I mean, he looks unbelievable with it. So I have to put it quite high up. I'm going to stick it in the same tier as the Ring of Honor one, but I'm going to put it above the Ring of Honor one in that B tier at the very top. Now, the Iwgp. This is the New Japan World Heavyweight Championship, really. Whatever the Iwgp stands for, it's kind of a company, I think. But I've got to be honest, I hate this design. Mainly because the previous design was so beautiful, and the heritage that previous design had. I looked at it and Okada wearing it looked phenomenal, and now I look at this and I don't know. I don't ever know why they decided to change it. The shape is the biggest problem with it. The actual design itself is not too bad. The gold and silver complement each other. It's got the Iwgp on it, which it doesn't throw it in your face as much, but it's just enough so you know what the brand is, or what the company is, or what it stands for at least. You associate the Iwgp with New Japan Wrestling. It's just the shape of the crest. It doesn't look good for me. It looks like a shield. I don't understand why it is that. And I stopped watching New Japan recently, and it was very much around about the same time that this belt came out. And I'm not saying it's for the reason that's the reason why I've decided to stop watching it. But, I mean, it doesn't draw me back in to want to know who's holding it right now. So yeah, the old belt had class and prestige. This one, the design's good. They got the shape wrong. So I think I'm going to have to stick it in the D tier. It's a nice enough belt that the middle part of it saves it from going in the E tier, but the shape of it's just not on for me. Which leads us then to the WWE World Championship. Now, very similar to the Universal Championship, I still have the same problems with it. The branding is too in your face. Yes, I can see from a mile away it's a WWE Championship belt, but the rest of it, like, where is the rest of it? The side plates look too good compared to the middle. And that's my major problem with these two belts. If they had gold around the W, it wouldn't look too bad. All they had to do was make the W look a little bit smaller. Very much like what they have done with the NXT UK Championship belt. That looks phenomenal. One of the best looking belts out there right now. Maybe it will pop up in another tier list. As long as this video does well, make sure you're smashing a like on the video. So I do really think that the black straps helped this be better than the Universal Championship. And overall, the shape and everything like that, the fitting of it, is fine. So it is going to go in the D tier, but I think it's going to go above the Iwgp Heavyweight Championship, which, oh my God, if you told me that 3 years ago, I'd be telling you, yeah, right, because I absolutely adored the previous belt that New Japan had. Now it's dropped all the way down there. Next up, we have the Mlw Belt, Major League Wrestling in America. Now, they actually have a secondary belt, which I actually think is better. I prefer the secondary belt, but this is still an okay belt. Alex Hammerstone, who is wearing it right now, or when I last watched MLW anyway, it looks important on his body. But I think the main trouble is with this belt is the size of it. It is absolutely ginormous. My man boobs will be resting on the top and it'll be cutting off all the circulation to my penis. If I was sat down wearing this belt, I think I would be castrated after a while. It is just way too big. The shape of it is too box square as well. They need to shorten it down a little bit, and maybe, I think the gold around looks good. I don't understand why the globe is too big. I think that could be shortened down a bit, but I think the branding stands out a little bit too much. The white and the red, they needed to make that gold or black like what it says on the world. You can still see, just exactly like the Ring of Honor belt, like the Progress belt, you can still see what company the belt is from. But that is, it makes it look like it's plonked on and stuck on with a sticker instead of it being part of the belt. And that, to me, is my main problem with the MLW World Championship. I still think it's better than quite a lot on this list, and I'm going to stick it in the C tier there, right in the middle, because it has potential to be great. They've just slightly missed the mark there. Oh, now we're talking. I've mentioned prestige quite a lot, and there's no other World Championship title in wrestling that represents prestige than the NWA Championship. I look at this belt and I immediately think of Ric Flair or Dusty Rhodes. Nick Aldis, of course, had a fantastic run with it and made the belt look phenomenal. The way he carried it, it made Nick Aldis, the belt and the wrestler, it elevated each other. Because I think the belt looks phenomenal. It has that kind of 3D effect with the world on it. And it has very subtle things on the gold, which just adds a little bit of flavour to it. The flags on the belt, the black marks on it, The strap itself, the shape of it, it's a beautiful title belt. I'm not even arguing with anybody on this. This, for me, is in the A tier. I think it's absolutely exceptional. What a beautiful belt, and I really hope they never decide to change the design of it. Because it looks new enough to be paid off as like a new title belt, but it has enough retroness about it so you can remember the prestige about it. Okay, so the Impact title belt, I could have gone with the TNA one. I went with the Impact one, the Impact World Championship. What is wrong with this belt, by the way? Like, it doesn't look gold or shiny. It looks like it's very much a rough edge, and they've took away the gloss finish of it. I don't understand the red either. I understand that's possibly for branding purposes, but I think maybe if you look at like the Progress or the NWA, the black with the gold works really well because of the strap. The red is too in your face and it's not shiny enough to pull it off. For instance, I actually think the WWE Championship belt with the red doesn't look too bad. That doesn't put me off. Whereas the red on this belt, it really does. And I really do feel like it's because of the finish of the metal itself. It's not glossy. However, the shape of it, I think you cannot get a better shape than what it is. The shape is good, the size is good, but for me it's too bland. It's got to go in the D tier and it's got to go at the bottom. I still like the fact that the Iwgp actually has a glossy, shiny finish. And I think having a prize, a trophy, a title belt, it has to be shiny. I just don't think I'd ever want to wear that. And don't get me wrong, if I was booked in Impact Wrestling, I'd be going for that belt. But I'm not. So I'm here making a tier list. It's down in the D section. Okay, the CMLL. This is a Mexican company, quite a famous Mexican company. A lot of the Mexican wrestlers that you know and love have wrestled in CMLL. Now, this belt very much has the same type of feeling as the NWA. In fact, it looks like it's just the same belt, but upside down. Obviously, the shape of it. It has a lot of prestige when you look at it. It looks like a vintage belt. If you said that this belt was from the 90s, I'd believe you. If you said it was from the 2000s, I'd believe you. And maybe even the 80s, I would believe you. I like it. I like the writing and how it's shaped around the world. I do think the red of the CMLL, if they made that gold, it would make it a little bit better. But I also like the fact that it looks like plates along each other instead of like a round circle of a title belt. I like the fact that it looks like it's fitted together through these plates, as if like literally a blacksmith carved this out. It's very much like the Lucha Underground belt. I'll pop a picture up because that belt was absolutely phenomenal. It's not a world title belt, not a current world title belt, but this I think has a little bit of class. The branding's on the border of acceptable. I'll give it that. A little bit too much more, and I would have been, yeah, it hampers it. It's just enough. And again, I think I would have put it gold. But I do like this belt. I do like this belt. I'm going to stick it in the C tier alongside the MLW. Finally then, the Aew World Championship. Now, this is what WWE should be basing the brand new unified title on, that Roman Reigns is obviously hopefully going to unveil soon. Obviously, he's carrying around both the two belts that we have on this tier list now. If they ever unify it, which I think they should base a look around the same style as the AEW belt. It has class, it has a lot of gold on it, it looks important. But you can still look at that and go, that's AEW, because you can see the brand enough, but it's not too in your face. It's not rammed down your throat like the WWE title belt. It just has enough branding on there, but it still looks important and it looks absolutely phenomenal around a wrestler's waist. The size, I think, is also spot on. It's a great shape. It's not too big, that it's obviously cutting off circulation to your private parts if you're wearing it, but it also looks big enough that if you've got it on your shoulder, you look like a champ. Like, this is a making of a wrestler holding this title belt, and that's what I absolutely love about the AEW World Championship. I think it is a beautiful belt. Wrestlers always look fantastic, and this has got to be an A tier for me. Is it better than the NWA? I'm going to put it there for now. Mainly because I think it stands obviously a bit more of a modern one, but that's the whole point of the NWA. But if somebody asked me which one of those two title belts would you want to wear, I would want to wear the AEW one because it's just a little bit bigger. As much as I love the design of the NWA, that is the #1 pick for me. What do you think? Do you agree with my picks? Let me know down in the comments section. If you want to see another one like this with a women's title, maybe with secondary belts, maybe with belts that don't exist anymore from like Attitude Era or WCW, then by all means, I'm all ears. Let me know down in the comments section. Thank you very much for getting us to 10,000 subscribers. I genuinely do appreciate it. And why don't you check out this video where I created a faction using your suggestions, and then I've given you a task to create a faction for me. Let me know down in that comment section what your faction is. Go over and click that video right now. Go on, do it.